Hey, it's Vas here from Aussie RC Playground, and welcome to my first look at the HoBao Hyper 10SC. It's a four-wheel drive, brushless short course truck, as you can see, but I don't have the original box. This truck, along with the 8SC, was shipped to me from HoBao in one big brown cardboard box, which is why I don't have the original one that this came in. So you'll be seeing the video of the 8SC at a later date. I will be filming that right after I'm done filming this one. But for now, we're going to focus on the 10SC. Although I don't have the box, I still have all the contents that you would normally get when you buy one of these. And the first thing in my hand here are some parts. So you have some body pins here, which are actually gold color, which is really nice. You have some spare zip ties. There's a cross wrench, some Allen keys, and then these little plastic bits here, which I'm not entirely sure what they're for. There may be something to do with adjusting tow on the rear of the truck. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. There's also a program card for your ESC. HoBao are very good at supplying these cards on some of their vehicles, or if not all of their vehicles that come ready to run. This makes life very, very easy when it comes to tuning your ESC, so thank you very much, HoBao, for including those. I think that's the only company that I know of that actually includes a program card with their ready to runs. Very, very cool. The user manual here, I've cut this guy open because there's a few things in here that we need to go through. Antenna tube, which you probably won't need all of it. I'd say probably cut it in half or maybe a third of it, because the 2.4 gigahertz receiver antenna is actually quite short. You don't need the tube sticking out of the truck, so you might want to cut that one up. Now, in here, we have on the back here, there's a warranty information sheet, which you will have to sort of read through, and then there's a form to fill out if there's any problems with the truck. The instruction manual is actually very good. There's also a spare sheet of stickers in here, or rather some leftover stickers. They've obviously used some of them to decorate the truck, but if you want to put some more on, or you want to, I don't know, use them on something else, you can. So we can put this guy aside. The user manual, as per standard, at least up until now, with all the HoBao RCs that I've received, very, very good user manuals, very well illustrated. There's part numbers for everything at the back here, so you can see all the part numbers there. Exploded view, so you know exactly where everything goes. There's some setup sheets in the back as well. And then, of course, step-by-step instructions on how to pull things apart and put them all back together. So, very good manual. Make sure you hold on to that one in case you ever, need to replace a part or something. You've got all the part numbers in there that you might need. Now, moving on to these little leaflets here. This is actually rather interesting. We'll start with this one, which is fairly easy. This is a setup sheet for your ESC, so you know exactly what you're programming and how to calibrate the ESC to the remote if you need to do that. All the options that the ESC comes with are right there, so you can pause the video and read through that if you want to know exactly what the ESC is capable of doing. And now there's two more things here which are kind of cool. First off, there's this warning sheet. Don't let that scare you. It's basically just giving you information about the steering servo that comes with the truck. Now, if the information on this is actually correct, the steering servo on this ready to run promises to be probably one of the best steering servos on a short course truck that I've ever seen, on a ready to run, that is. So if you have a look here, the servo works between 4.8 volts to 6 volts, but down here it says 15.3 kilograms at 4.8 and 18.6 kilograms at 6 volts, which is absolutely brilliant. That is more than enough power for a 4x4 like this, especially a lightweight vehicle like this one. I'm assuming that these servos are pretty much what is also being included in the 8SC, and if that's the case, well, then it makes sense because they use a standardized servo for all these trucks. But that is very, very good. Metal gears, digital, I can't really complain. The specs themselves say that this servo should be, you shouldn't need to replace it, but we'll see. I'm going to be using the truck as it is, and then we'll take it from there. Now, in here, you can see that this is a different radio to what normally comes with what I got with the monster truck and the Truggy, and also the VT, which is the 1/8 scale road car. So really good to see that HoBao have actually started off using different remotes that run on 4AA's, and they obviously feel a little bit nicer. But we'll talk about this guy in a second, because I want to move on to this. This is the instruction manual for the radio, and it, color illustrations, very well laid out, very clear instructions as well. They've actually done a really good job in kind of telling you how to set up the radio, what it does, what its functions are, what the buttons do. Very, very good job, HoBao. I'm really, really impressed with this. Very, very cool. Now, Moving back to the radio itself, as I said, 4 AA's, nice, more compact look to it, and of course this is a kind of like a dumbed down version of this guy, which is a radio that I kind of unboxed quite a long time ago from Hobby King. This is a Trackstar radio. As you can see, it's got a digital screen. This is multi-model memory radio, and it has a lot more functions. This is a dumbed down version, but it still has a couple of really cool functions. First of all, it has a 3rd channel button here that you can use, I don't know, to turn something on and off if you have the actuators and all that sort of stuff to do, maybe LED lights or something along those lines. Or you can connect a servo to it to do something cool. That's always there, and not that you would on the truck, but the option is there. Center button here is your power button. Throttle trim on this side, steering trim on this side. I'll actually move this up a little bit closer so you can see a bit better. Steering dual rate knob in the center, so by adjusting that, you'll control your steering dual rates. Reverse buttons for your throttle and your steering on this side. And then you've got throttle EPAs on here as well. So these two will control, that's reverse and this is forward, so you can actually turn down the top speed of the car. If you perhaps want to lend the car out to somebody that's a bit less experienced, or you can kind of slow down the reverse function. This here is for a 4th channel, but this is not being used at all. I'm not entirely sure why you would use that for. I'm not even sure if the receiver is a 4-channel receiver, but at least that's there, and you might be able to connect something up to it. I really like the feel of the wheel. Nice foam wheel, very lightweight, real comfortable in the hand, and of course runs on 4 AA's. Well done, HoBao. Really happy with these remotes. Very good, and a good step up from the older ones that they had that ran on 8 AA's and were a bit of a dated design. Now for the truck itself, the main event. Let's move on with this because we're already about 6 or 7 minutes in, and I want to kind of cover off as much of this as I possibly can in the quickest amount of time. So that is the body there. That's what this guy looks like. I think this is available in 2 different colors. There's also a blue one. I actually do like the orange and the black. Looks very cool. Screen printed paintwork as always, and the body itself actually feels kind of tough. It doesn't feel flimsy at all. Feels pretty good. Hopefully it's not one of those bodies that I've seen in the past where they feel kind of nice but then they're brittle and they start to snap. So I'm hoping that's not the case. Very good body. Well done, HoBao, on this one as well. Really impressed with that. And of course, here is the truck itself, and this is the kind of layout that you'll see when you take the body off. So we'll start from the outside and work our way in. Tires on this guy feel really good. I'm very impressed with the tires, and even the tread pattern itself is actually quite nice. I really like these. The only thing that I wish they'd done a bit better is given us some denser foams. I can almost, by pushing down on the tire, I can almost feel the plastic wheel underneath it. So that's the only thing that kind of worries me about these. I kind of wish that they'd gone with a slightly better quality foam, something a bit denser. But the rubber itself feels really good, very sticky. You can see there, you can sort of hear it. Feels very nice. That being said, a couple of people have commented on my Facebook page, because I did post up some pictures on my Facebook of these trucks, and they said that the tires are really not that good. But I'll see. I'm going to run it as it is, as I always do, and find out how good these tires actually are and whether or not I'm going to have any issues with them. But at least for the moment, they feel very good, so I'm pretty impressed with that. Suspension actually feels really nice, very plush, well dialed in. Perhaps I may need to sort of stiffen up my springs a little bit. It feels slightly over dampened, but I know that with new trucks, the oil's kind of settled down a bit. Once you start to use them, the oil will loosen up a bit and might get it slightly thinner, and it may work a little bit better. But straight out of the box, they haven't done anything wrong. So I'm pretty impressed with the suspension on this truck. Front and rear sway bars pre-installed. And of course you got your front and rear bumpers. Now these bumpers are actually really cool. First of all, we'll start with the rear one. It's got quite a bit of flex to it. So you can see that I'm actually able to flex it when it gets hit on the side. But the way that it's designed, it comes through from the back here, goes through the shock tower, and then it gets braced here, where it then has extra strength through this rear chassis brace that goes all the way into the center of the chassis. And you can see the brace actually splits in two, and then it supports the chassis, or supports the entire construction here very, very nicely. So this is a really cool design. I like that. Normally you'll see the center diff kind of offset, and this comes down on an angle or something, or you know, the shafts, the drive shafts will need to be a little bit off center to allow for this to go right in the middle. But they've kind of gone a different route here and split the actual brace. So I really like that. I think that's going to work quite well. On the front you have, and I'll flip the truck around so you can have a look at it here. On the front you have this really nice beefy sort of little bumper piece that kind of kicks up. And then the front bumper itself, again, is also quite flexible. It does forgive quite a bit, so impacts should be well absorbed. And then this is all braced right through the top of the bulkhead bit here, which is where the aluminium shock tower is, and it's actually quite strong in there. I mean, it looks kind of beefed up. I'm hoping that this actually lasts quite well and can take you know, a few nasty hits, because we all know that I am going to be probably having the odd impact here and there. Moving on to this kind of big roll cage thing that's going on over here. It's almost like a handle that they've put on here. This top part is actually adjustable, although this bottom bit isn't, but it is kind of hinged. It's flexible. You can see that it moves around. So that's actually a really good idea. And then you've got your Nerf bars, which are actually quite beefed up as well. And these support the entire roll cage assembly quite well. So I really like this design. I think this is, you know, something a little bit different. It's lightweight as well. And if you don't like it, you can always take it off. It's just bolted on underneath here. There's a couple of screws holding the whole thing together. You can just take that off if you do really want to have that on there. Underneath, you can see really nice chassis on this guy, very well finished, all countersunk screws. You can see the chassis is obviously being used for other platforms because there's some holes here that aren't being used. Perhaps a nitro version, maybe, I don't know, maybe with those screws there, that could be it. Not entirely sure. You got aluminium hinge pin braces on the front and rear of the A-arms, so same thing for the rear A-arms there. Very nice design. You've got aluminium shock towers, which look to be about 3 millimeters thick, and plenty of adjustment points for your shocks on the shock towers. There's 3 adjustment points on the rear of the truck here on the A-arms, and if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there's 2 on the front A-arms, which of course also have multiple adjustment points on the shock towers. And note that it has this kind of like gull wing almost A-arms on the front and rear of the truck. So very well designed, very, very good suspension layout on everything. I'm really liking this so far, very, very impressed. Pillow ball suspension in the front, as you can probably see there, and it has CVDs already pre-installed in the front, standard dog bones in the rear of course. You've got toe adjustment here on the turnbuckles. You've got camber adjustment on the rear turnbuckles just there. You have adjustable body posts on here as well, front and rear. You've got aluminium threaded body chocks, but of course these little bits here are plastic on top, and of course you got your plastic kind of shock rod ends that go into the A-arms. These are kind of smallish shocks, but you know, they do feel okay. Obviously, I think this will work quite well. Hopefully, if nothing goes wrong. There's our servo receiver is right up here, on and off switch just there, adjustable servo saver just in there, and the motor itself is a 3900 kV. I believe it is a 36 by 50. This motor does look to be a little bit small, but it is a fairly lightweight truck. This doesn't weigh very much at all. So it's not based on like a 1/8 scale buggy that's quite heavy. This is a much lighter RC, and who knows, maybe this will actually work quite well. Another thing to note though is that it is running Mod 1 gearing, so it does have quite big steel gears in there with the center diff also having a steel spur, so chances are this is going to be a rather noisy RC, but you should have some good longevity out of the gears. The ESC looks to be a rebranded quick run Hobbywing ESC, which is a 60 amp, and it is waterproof. That being said, your receiver is fully exposed here. It's not in any sort of like receiver box or anything, so if you do get your receiver wet, chances are, well, you know, that'll be the end of your truck. So you may want to maybe not splash this one through water, even though the ESC is waterproof. And I'm not 100% sure about the servo either. I don't think this is waterproof either, so yeah, just keep that in mind. What else can I tell you about this guy? Center drive shaft's real nice and beefy and thick. especially the front one here is a little bit shorter, looks kind of nice. Battery tray is an interesting one. This is another sort of battery tray that I think this is the third or fourth one that I've had like this, where you don't mount your batteries laying down flat. They need to be vertical. That being said, the battery tray is quite generous in its width here, so you can perhaps run a 3S, like a chunky 3S, that will fit in there quite well, as long as of course you have it set up in a vertical position. Velcro straps to hold everything in place. Does come with a Dean's or T style connector on here, which I'll be swapping out for XT60s because that's what I use. But aside from that, I think that is pretty much all I have to say about the HoBao Hyper 10SC. Very, very nicely laid out. Looks to be pretty, pretty well assembled, and the way that it's tuned out of the box actually feels pretty good. The only thing that I will say, your camber and toe probably could be a little bit better. It's not so bad here on the 10SC, although the toe at the front's a little bit out, but the 8SC is going to be a little bit worse, and I'll show you that when I do the unboxing for that one. Now, last thing that I will point out, just in regards to the body, you'll notice that the body posts are actually raised up pretty much all the way to the top. They didn't come like this out of the box. They were actually one hole lower, and the problem I had, and the reason why I raised them up, is because as I was putting the body on, I noticed that the front of the body was actually hitting the bumper. And for me to kind of squeeze the body down and put the pins in, the body, like the bonnet here, would kind of kink up. So I had to raise the body posts up, and you can see that it kind of sits okay the way that it is. The other thing that I will point out as well is that the holes didn't quite line up 100%, and I had to kind of elongate these rear holes just to make the body posts kind of sit in the right spot. Of course, even though I've done it like that, it's still not 100%, but because the posts are up all the way high, they kind of flex a little bit, and the truck actually, the body's actually able to sit on the truck fairly well. So that is pretty much it for this kind of first look. Not really an unboxing of the Hyper 10SC. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about this truck, please be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to get back to you. If you want to know more information about the truck, be sure to check out the video description. I'll try to have a link in there to the HoBao website, and anywhere where I can sort of find one for sale. Also, there'll be a link in there to my Facebook page, my Instagram, and of course my Patreon if you want to help out and support the channel. That is it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will speak to you next time.